Looking to have your day brightened up? You're in the right place. Welcome to the #Positivity Podcast with Jason D.
Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning into the podcast. My guest today is a people person through and through, and she uses her talents as the Chief Heart Officer at Vaynermedia. Claude Silver, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, it's great to have you. Thank you for hosting me in your office. We're down here in New York City. It's a great place to be, and I'm excited. I don't get to come down here too much.
I'm psyched, and you get to see the view of Freedom Tower and Statue of Liberty.
There's a lot of cool stuff going on outside. This project at Hudson Yards is pretty amazing too.
Yeah, it's like a little city within a city.
There's a lot of stuff going on out there. So I'd bet that the listeners have probably seen some of Vaynermedia's work without even realizing it. But before we dive in, could you talk a little bit about Vaynermedia, what the company is, what you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. We are a full service digital creative agency, and we service Fortune 50, Fortune 100 clients. And so we're an advertising agency. We build content for the mobile phone. So video for the mobile phone is something that we're really into. AI, so doing a lot of Alexa work right now. We work with some incredible clients, Bud Global, Stella Artois, Stainmaster, a lot of Unilever, JP Morgan Chase. And so what we are doing is we are creating content where the audience is.
And that's why probably the listeners have seen it on Facebook or YouTube, Twitter, wherever this stuff is going out there, the social media content that you guys are putting out. How did you get started with Vaynermedia?
Well, I was working in London, and I was a strategist working at Publicis London, and my account was P&G. So I was working on oral care and a couple other different things. My best friend met Gary, who's my best friend's actually a client, met Gary, and she wrote me an email. She said, "You have to meet this guy. He is so inspirational." She introduced us on email, and the next thing I knew, I was having a phone conversation with him as I was pacing up and down in my kitchen in London. 3 to 4 minute conversation, and of course I was completely mesmerized. A month later, this was in 2013, so this is now September 2013, I came to New York for business. We had a half an hour meeting on the Upper East Side. He had a grapefruit and black coffee. I had nothing. And I left that meeting floating on a cloud, like flying, floating. And I called her and I said, "You are absolutely right. I have to work with this person." And Gary and I went back and forth, and we're talking about where I would work, and would it be New York, would it be London? And I accepted a role here and started in May of 2014 as the SVP on Unilever, on the big account. And that's how I got started.
So you're working in London, phone call with Gary, obviously a memorable meeting because you remember what he had and what you didn't have. And have you always been sort of a people person? Were you always working in this realm? What did you do leading up to London and even going way back to school and things like that?
Yeah, so the great thing about this role is that it's me, and I've always done me. That's the cool thing. And so me being a people person has been something in my veins probably since I was 5. I have always been one of those people that believes in underdogs and wants to help out that person that, maybe was a scaredy cat in elementary school or, something like that. And when I got into junior high and high school, I started to be captain of the tennis team, captain of the soccer team. So I could tell I had leadership ability, and it was something that came natural to me, and definitely didn't feel authoritative. I just, I'm just a roll up your sleeves type of person and want to be in the mix. I like to help people, and so that's really come out through and through in my life and everything I've done, being of service and really helping people remove roadblocks. I then went on a 93-day Outward Bound course, which was a wilderness leadership program. And so the idea of that was to become a certified Outward Bound leader. So again, leader in the wilderness. And that course changed my entire life. I was 19 years old, and I came out of that course knowing for sure, not one question in my life, in my mind, that my one and only purpose in life was to facilitate growth and change with people, period. And I meandered through school and went to college for 2 years and took many years off and did a lot of, personal seeking. And I ran a lot of ropes courses, and I did a lot of work with substance abuse people in recovery, and anything I could possibly do to gain more knowledge of human behavior and more understanding of how I could fit into this puzzle of being of service. And I eventually graduated with a bachelor's in human development and transpersonal psych. And I was going to become a psychotherapist. I really was hell-bent on it. And next thing I knew, I got an opportunity to dive into the digital space. And it was 1998, and I got my first job in digital and made a promise to myself that I would still, no matter what, find a way to build teams, facilitate growth and change. So very long story. We're talking 48 years here. But it's in my veins. My family is very altruistic and also entrepreneurial. My Nana, who passed away this year, was 101 years old. She worked until she was 100, volunteering at the hospital. It's in my blood, and so I feel like I'm grateful that it is who I am.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about Nana's passing. 101. That's she lived quite the life, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. So I tell my brother and other friends, like, watch out, I'm going to be around for a long time.
Yeah, you've got a lot to look forward to. That's great. So when you came in to Vayner, you were an SVP, and how did you make the transition to Chief Heart Officer? I know that you had left for a little bit in the meantime.
Yeah. So, what was happening when I was here as an SVP is I had a wonderful team of about 35, 40 people, and we created a little microcosm within Vaynermedia. I believed in them, they believed in me, and we were just a unit. We were a really, really powerful, strong, successful team, and we loved each other. And that's my MO, right? I mean, creating love and joy and finding purpose, and it really dawned on me as I was leading this team and inspiring them, and they were inspiring me, that was what got me out of bed in the morning. What made me light up every single day was the people. What made me come alive every single day was watching them grow and helping them get on growth and development plans and doing training and learning. And gosh, we used to read poetry together and all this stuff. And so I couldn't lie to myself any longer. I was no longer interested in the selling of goods.
Yep.
And I know that there are tons of people out there that do it better than I ever did. And so I went to Gary and I resigned. And it was one of the hardest, if not the hardest, conversation I've ever had, because here's a man that I absolutely love, admire, adore. He's a mentor to me and had provided me with such an incredible opportunity to be at Vaynermedia, and he trusts me. And here I was saying, thank you so much for all of these gifts, and I need to go follow my bliss. And so there I went. Now, he knew that I had built a lot of equity within my team and within the agency. He knew that I was already a culture carrier and that he could trust me with people, and that we both had very similar intuitions and vibes on people, and that we were both optimists. So what happened was I left. We had breakfast 4 months later, and he said, that's it. You're Chief Heart Officer. You are going to be the Chief Heart Officer of Vaynermedia. And in that moment, I knew exactly what that meant. There was no question in my mind that meant, oh, I'm just going to be me.
Yep. And you guys were on the same channel with that.
That's it.
That's awesome.
So that's the story of how it happened.
Well, that's great. And it's pretty neat. A lot of people start off doing something kind of going through the motions. Not to say that you were going through the motions as the SVP, but it just wasn't the road that you wanted to be on. And it's pretty spectacular that you were able to leave this all behind for a little while, realize that you wanted to follow your dreams and take a step back and resign from the company that, again, you love this place, you love the people and Gary. So that's pretty awesome. What does a day as a Chief Heart Officer look like for you?
Well, no day is the same, that's for sure. We've got 700 plus people in all of our offices, including London. So I am doing a lot of one-on-ones and directly communicating with people if they're not in the New York office. So if they're in the New York office, I'm spending time with them, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, talking about, what makes them light up, what their purpose is. Are they growing? Are they developing? Are they happy? If they're not, what can we do about it? Where can I find inspiration for them? What do we need to do? And if they're in other offices, then I'm doing some Slack phone calls. I'm texting a heck of a lot. I'm working on the floor with resourcing, so resourcing different people on different accounts. The leadership team and I'm part of the leadership team, so I spend a lot of time with them, strategizing ways in which to bring Gary's vision to life. And just working with pretty much everyone I possibly can. I want to spread enthusiasm and positivity here every step of the way. So whether or not that's saying hello to someone in the hallway, knowing it's someone's birthday or their Vaynerversary, anything like that is important. It's just important information and important juice for me to then go share. This is a place that needs not only Gary and not only Claude. It needs everyone. So if I am sharing that positivity, that scales me, that scales Gary, and that creates culture carriers and, wonderful vibes within the agency.
Right. And I have no doubt that your interest in people, like you said, it doesn't just concern what's going on at the office. I'm sure you deal with people's love lives, their conflicts, loss, things like that reaches outside of the office into their personal lives and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting, I don't know if it's because of my age that work and life have blended so much because they have for me. I do have a separation. I go home and I unplug, but because I am still Claude when I leave here and I'm Claude when I'm at work, it's the same. So, which is just interesting to think about, but I'm very interested in what makes that person tick or what they're doing on social or how we can surprise and delight that person because they're New York Ranger fans. So let's get them tickets to the Rangers tonight. It's really, really important for us here that we treat every single individual as vibrant parts of this culture because without them, we are not as strong.
Right. And that's different from a lot of different companies. Most of the time, personnel issues are kind of a reactive thing. You guys are so involved with everybody's lives, and again, it reaches outside of the office. That everybody here becomes family. It seems like this is a pretty tight-knit business for 700 plus people. I mean, that's a testament to what you guys are doing. So I look around when I'm in here, everybody is sitting close to one another. They're all kind of one on top of one another. There are no cubicles. There aren't many offices here. Is that part of the plan for you guys?
Yeah, an open office is really important. The number one reason I think is that there's no separation between church and state, which means it's a fairly flat organization. And we seat people either in pods, so account teams, or in departments. And you can reach right over and ask that person, like, hey, you mind looking at this deck for me? Or, hey, you got what do you think of this copy? Or, oh, God, that is really cool what's on your screen. So there's a lot of sharing that goes on, and that's something we really want to contribute to, and we want to fuel all the time because, again, it's the people that make this place so great. That's exactly what it is. So we also, Gary and I have open doors. And open door doesn't mean necessarily that door being open all the time. It's being available all the time, day and night, 24/7. And that's what we really want to encourage is that come talk to us, or we will proactively, like today I've already proactively reached out to 20 people who probably had no idea I was even thinking about them in other offices. So to be on the front foot, as you said, and to be proactive about wanting to provide and serve them, I do think is one of our winning formulas here.
So when it comes to the other offices, do you do a fair amount of traveling between all of the different Vayner offices to stay on top of these issues? Do you have scheduled trips to kind of do what you're doing here, or is it more sporadic and, again, not to say that it's reactive, but is you have an issue somewhere else and you travel for it, or do you go regularly to keep on top of things?
Well, I should say so I have some team members that are both in London and Los Angeles. So they are there to provide scale and help and HR, and I say that with quotes. We rename this team People and Experience Team, because that, of course, is what we're doing. We work with people and we work on and provide them with the experience that they have here. So that's really important to say. I do some planning of the trips, and I also go when it feels like it's time for me to go. And so the leaders of those offices might say to me, you know what, we haven't seen you in a while, can you come down? Or I really think it would be a great idea if you came down, had a town hall with people, or were part of their reviews, whatnot. So again, it's a collaboration, and it by no way is it my way or the highway. I want to do what's best for this company.
So the benefits then of being so proactive and having a strong team and an open door policy, and you and Gary being the ways that you are, what does the business benefit from all of this? Having a happy place. I mean, obviously you look around and the listeners can't see this, but everybody outside is smiling. Everybody seems to be just hanging out with their friends. What do you guys see as a benefit from all of that? How does that play out in the business side of it?
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful question. So the connection that you see out here and the good vibes that you see out here manifest in many ways. The first one is loyalty. Loyalty to the brand of Vaynermedia. The second one is longevity. People are here for a while. And I mean 8 years, 7, 5 years, 3 years, 2 years. But they're here for a while. They want to make this their home. And the third way, and probably one of the most important ways for business, is speed. So when you have this great connection and this great vibe that you see outside there, and when you have the loyalty and longevity, and you have built resilient teams that can change on a dime, because we change on a dime, you get there faster. Speed is our KPI. That is the deal here. We want to be first. We want to be fast. We want to get success for our clients. And we want to surprise and delight them. We want to go above and beyond, and building strong teams like that fuel us to do that.
Right. Nobody minds working late hours if they're just, again, quote unquote, hanging out with their friends or doing what they want to do. Being in a high energy, fun place like this, I'm sure makes it easier to work the late hours, put the hard work in. When it comes to building a community like this, do you guys try to hire people that you think will fit the Vaynermedia model, or do you hire more, whoever comes in, screen them a little bit, and then just jump on top of them with all of this that you see out here? Do you just flood them with this energy and hope that they catch some of it?
Yeah, another good question. So we used to hire for culture fit. And if you had the great skill set, if you had a skill set, cool. So that looked like this. Hey, Jason, great to meet you. Oh, you like Dave Matthews? I like Dave Matthews. Oh, cool. You went to Coachella? I went to Coachella. You can do a little PowerPoint? Great, you're hired. Like, we hired based on that good vibe, that we had something in common. I'd probably want to hang out with you outside of work. The business has changed as has the state of marketing today. And so now we have to hire much more for skill set fit and culture addition, which means we want you, the individual, to add to this culture. And so, to answer your question, we hire people based on the skill set fit, and also they have some inkling of our DNA. Great people, great smile, you can tell what they like to do, maybe when they're not working. That they have electricity and excitement in them. They have that positive vibe. And then we do our best to, politely swarm them with as much of our good vibes as we possibly can, because it's the good vibes that keep this place going round and round and round.
Right. So let's go back for a moment. I'll give you this piece of paper where you said you hired me. Can we just write that down?
Yeah, totally. Okay. Totally. You like Dave Matthews. I like Dave Matthews. I always use that example. And the fact is like, I do like Dave Matthews, but that's not really the music I listen to. But yet it always is on the tip of my fingertips. That's just all the time.
That's the example. That's the go-to.
And it's like, it's a complicated couple words there.
Yeah.
What I really should say is like, you like The Cure and Robert Smith. Great. You are hired.
There you go.
Because that's my band. But
awesome. So on top of constantly meeting with people and spending time with walking around, I noticed that before we met, you were just walking around with folks, talking to people, and you said you have meetings. What other unique or fun ways do you guys work on promoting positivity here at Vaynermedia?
So a couple different ways come to mind immediately. We have a culture group here. It's called RAD, R-A-D, like, wow, you're rad. And the RAD group is hard at work every single day, either creating events in all different offices, doing something that we call surprise and delight, which is actually spontaneous acts of giving, or maybe having a beer bash later on tonight. That's the RAD group. And so that's something that certainly promotes connection, connectivity, hanging out, having a beer, having an iced coffee, whatever it is. That's one of the things we do. The other thing we do that's super important is that we do a lot of training here. Training, I think, really fuels that person's excitement and energy because they're learning something, and they're learning something in community. So I'll give you an example of how that works for me on the outside world. I love SoulCycle. I love SoulCycle for a couple reasons. One, I'm not the only one there struggling. I'm in community sweating my butt off, and I'm listening to great music. So I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm sweating, I'm getting in shape with others, which makes me thus feel better and somehow work harder in a way. So I use that to equate to a lot of the learning and dev we do here, or the town halls that I might have, where I just have 20, 25 random people that I've selected. Maybe they've been here, a couple have been here 2 years, one I've never met before, one works in this team that I haven't talked to in a while, and I have them come together and we just talk. I don't mean like, oh yeah, we talk about the blue sky today and how good the Yankees or Mets did last night. We're talking about culture. We're talking about building a place here of belonging where people can come. They feel as though they belong. They feel safe. They can bring their best. They can bring their full selves to work. And we're talking about ways in which to do that. And I'm collecting data, info, 411 intel constantly from the employees. And they might be saying to me, you know what, Claude, we need more of this. Or have you ever thought of this? Or it would be great if we had music playing in the bathrooms. I don't know, something. That is what I believe also breeds such a good vibe and good culture, because again, it's not Gary from on high making decisions and saying there will be music in the bathroom. And it's not me, it's them. We work for them. There is no one here that works for me. I work for 700 plus people.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, again, you can't get by the fact that everybody here looks like they're having a good time. And there's no doubt that, everybody's going to have their issues, but you guys seem to do an amazing job of keeping people happy, keeping that tight-knit feel, even though it's a large office. We're in a gorgeous building, awesome views here of the city. You guys seem to be doing a heck of a job, and it's awesome to see that built on positivity and good vibes and that sense of community or family. So is there anything that I haven't talked about that you kind of want to touch on? Any questions that I haven't asked?
There is a quote that's sitting right here. It's my favorite quote, Maya Angelou quote, which says, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And I have that quote here because to me, that's the alpha and the omega. That means everything. It's how we make people feel. That is the most important thing, and that is what puts the fuel in the gas tank and fuels this engine. We aren't perfect at it. We are fluid. We are growing. We are in adolescence here, and so we're changing, but we are doing our best to learn every single day. And I mean we, the logo, leadership, all of us are are doing our best to learn and then implement. We want to leave people feeling better than they already did. And that's my job. So that didn't ask you a question. That was just a statement.
That's okay. You covered it because I feel very welcome here. I know that you said you're a hugger. When I came in, I got a big hug. You've made me feel welcome. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. You guys are doing a heck of a job, so keep up the great work.
Thank you so much, and thank you for reaching out because, hashtag positivity goes a long, long, long way. So I want to say thanks to you.
Well, I appreciate that. And again, thanks for having me. Guys, make sure you check out what Vaynermedia is doing and follow Claude. Claude, what's your Twitter handle?
It's real simple. Claude Silver.
Claude Silver.
And same on Instagram.
All right, guys. Check out Vaynermedia and everything that Claude is doing, and I hope you have an awesome rest of your day.
Thanks so much for listening to the Hashtag Positivity Podcast. Online at hashtagpositivity.org, on Facebook at Hashtag Positivity, and Instagram, the official Hashtag Positivity. If you liked the episode, please rate and review. And remember, positivity is contagious. Sprinkle that madness everywhere. We'll catch you next time.